Hi y'all, welcome back to the next episode of the Passport Project Read Aloud. I'm Kellie McIntyre, author of the Passport Project. Today we are leaving the country and we are going to Panama. Today's read aloud is a flashback to a previous trip to Panama. And today you will be visiting the Panama Canal and the EMBERA Puru Indigenous tribe. I hope you enjoy. Delaney, 13. Cockroaches and naked people are not a winning combination for most family vacations. But our vacations aren't like most. We don't do campgrounds or cruises. Oh no. My parents insist we get out of the bubble. When I was 10 years old, we went to Panama, the country, not the beach town in Florida like everyone else, for spring break. The only reason we went there is because Mom found a cheap flight. That's how most of our trips begin. Panama is the super skinny country at the bottom of Central America that connects North America and South America, like a tiny paper clip connecting two giant continents. Panama is famous for its canal that allows ships to sail directly from the Caribbean Sea to the Pacific Ocean. Before the canal was built, ships had to make the long, dangerous journey around the bottom tip of South America. All the way down here they had to go. Most people who visit Panama go to watch the massive ships squeeze through the narrow canal. But don't confuse popular with exciting. Have you ever watched paint dry? Welcome to the Panama Canal. After checking off this boring engineering miracle, we headed to the jungle. My stomach started hurting the minute our guide, Diego, picked us up from our hotel. I'd been to Belize's jungle and was not a fan. I don't like bugs or snakes or spiders, and the jungle is full of them. But this time would be even scarier because we were spending the night with a real jungle tribe. Diego drove us to a little shack next to a river to wait for our boat. The EMBERA Puru Indian village sits deep in the jungle and can only be reached by the river. The boat was actually a dugout canoe made from a hollowed-out tree trunk. A man and a teenage boy, each with a bright red piece of fabric dangling in front of their hearts, stood in the canoe paddling toward us. In the back, an even skinnier red slice covered their cracks, but not their buns. That flimsy material was the only thing they wore. "We're not in Vestavia anymore," I whispered to Riley after silently begging Mother Nature for a wind-free journey. We paddled down the Rio San Juan de Puene for 45 minutes until beating drums interrupted chirping birds and howling monkeys. By the side of the river, 6 more practically naked men greeted us under a handmade wooden sign with the words EMBERA Puru painted on it. We climbed out of the canoe and up the steep dirt bank into the village. The EMBERA people are the indigenous people of Panama and Colombia, where North America and South America meet, Diego explained. Besides Spanish, they speak their tribal language, also known as EMBERA. Diego said a lot of other stuff, but I was too busy checking out this fascinating new world to listen. The EMBERA people look like something straight out of my social studies textbook. Wait. Scratch that. My book wouldn't have shown the actual pictures because these women were topless. All the women and girls were dressed, or not dressed, the same. They each wore a bright patterned skirt and a necklace made of coins or beads. Nothing else. It was every middle school girl's locker room nightmare, baring her tatas for all the world to see. Which is why every American girl learns at least one magic trick in her life, the bra out the sleeve trick. All females between 10 and 70 can pull that trick quicker than you can ditch your parents at a school function. But not the EMBERA. Whether they had big boobs, small boobs, or no boobs, they weren't embarrassed at all. Not even the girls my age. I don't know how they do it. But I know this. If I had to be naked in front of strangers, I would die. Diego led us to our hut to get settled. Our room on stilts stood in the middle of the dirt village. I followed Diego up the tree trunk ladder into our hut. There was no furniture, only 5 striped hammocks hanging from the rafters. Since these jungle cabanas had no walls, we could watch the EMBERA families in their huts, and they could watch us in ours. "Where's the bathroom?" I asked. "You'll take a bath in the river, and there's a toilet that way." Diego pointed toward a dirt path. I wondered how long I could hold it. We gathered in the community center, which was really just a supersized hut without the stilts. We plopped down on the long wooden bench that ran the length of the dirt floor. Soon a parade of dark-haired women with medium brown skin filed in and formed a circle. In addition to the patterned skirts, many of them had patterned skin too. Blue-black geometric tattoos covered some or most of their bodies. For the next 30 minutes, we watched a patterned rainbow dance train of clapping hands, stomping feet, and swinging boobies. After the performance, we followed a barefoot shaman through the jungle. He is the town doctor, and the jungle is his pharmacy. Diego translated everything he said. The medicine man pointed out different plants, explaining which ones we could eat, which ones would kill us, and which ones would heal us. The headache plant was different from the diarrhea plant, and so on. "That one," the shaman chuckled and pointed to a vine, "fixes older men." Both of my parents laughed extra hard at that. "Do you want to get tattoos?" Diego hollered from the riverbank. "The ink comes from a plant, so it's only temporary." "I'm not sure," I said. "Yes," Riley squealed. "That would be so cool to go back to school with a tattoo." "All right," I agreed, "but I want to go first." We dried off and followed Diego to Rosa's hut. She's the best tattoo artist in the village. While I got situated on the bamboo floor, the Ink Queen asked me a question. "What do you want?" Diego translated. They typically paint the tattoos anywhere on the upper body. "Just here," I said, using my finger to draw an invisible bracelet around my wrist. Rosa dipped a stick into the wooden bowl. She painted the juice of the hagua fruit on my skin. The liquid is clear at first, but then turns into a blue-black ink. A few minutes later, a real tribal bracelet circled my wrist. I smiled at Rosa. "Thank you. I love it." I couldn't wait to show my friends. I hoped it would last that long. I got up and Riley plopped down in my place next to Rosa. Riley's pale skin looked more ghostly than usual next to Rosa's smooth brown complexion. With her goofy grin and high-pitched voice, Riley said, "I want it to go from here to here," running her finger all the way up her arm. Ugh. Riley always has to outdo me. After a long day of jungle fun, my stomach growled louder than the howler monkeys. While we sat on the floor, 2 EMBERA women cooked our dinner over a 3-log fire. Although I'm usually a picky eater, I knew there wouldn't be any other options. I was nervous about eating because there wasn't a real kitchen anywhere in the village. There was no running water, I hadn't seen a fridge, and the only oven was made out of clay and sat in the middle of the village. My expectations were low. Surely I wouldn't starve to death in one night. Karina and Maria, the jungle's top chefs, handed each of us a palm leaf bowl filled with fish and rice. Using my hand as a fork, I took my first bite. So good. I devoured it and asked for more. Mom, you never make anything that tastes this good. Riley licked her fingers. For real, I said, picking the last fish morsel from the leaf bowl. Careful, y'all, Dad warned, as if we might offend Mom. But she knows her cooking is terrible. As we laughed and talked about the day, a giant cockroach snuck out of the shadows and raced toward my rainforest feast. My dad grabbed the nearest flip-flop and pounded it, showering my arm with roach juice. Ew, so nasty. Another roach darted toward us, and he smashed it too. Soon, cockroaches scurried at us from every direction. Our shrieks filled the hut. We jumped up and started hopping around, simultaneously trying to kill and avoid the most disgusting creatures on the planet. Laughing at our first world freakout, Karina and Maria ran to our rescue. They stomped on the roaches, kicking them aside with their bare feet. I thought I would die right there. No longer hungry, we climbed the tree up to our hut to get ready for bed. After avoiding it all day, the dreaded moment had arrived. Mom, I need to go to the bathroom. I peed in the river while we were swimming, but I need to go again. I need to go too. Let's do this, she said. We followed the faint glow of our cheap flashlight down a dirt path to the potty, a rustic outhouse with a toilet seat mounted on a concrete pedestal. I shined the flashlight into the stall, bracing for the worst. Monster-sized cockroaches were running laps around the toilet seat. It looked like a track meet. Our matching mother-daughter screams pierced the jungle. I'm not sitting on that, I cried. Just squat in the dirt outside. Mom backed away from the outhouse. I'm not doing that either, I shrieked. Then what are you going to do? Mom shrieked back. I need you to hold me over the toilet. I pulled down my pants and bent my knees like I was sitting in an invisible chair. My mom held me suspended midair over the hole. I finally relaxed enough to go number one. So where are you going to go? I asked, pulling up my pants. Nowhere. I just wet my pants. Then she added, remember, what happens in Panama stays in Panama. Pinky promise. We hooked pinkies in the darkness. Wow, and I thought my freakout was bad. Back in the hut, I dug my rain jacket out of my backpack. Why do you want that? Riley asked. The baby hairs curled around her glistening forehead. To keep the roaches off. Duh. I pulled the hood over my head, yanking the cord as tight as I could, then zipped the jacket to my neck. Armed with flip-flops, Dad and Rye played whack-a-roach from the safety of their hammocks. Riley screamed, Die, sucker! Right before she smashed each one. I climbed into my hammock and spread a towel over my legs. I folded the hammock around me, forming a human burrito. The only exposed skin was the circle of my face, peeking from the cinched hood. Two beady eyes stared at me from the beam above my head. I knew I would die that night. What I didn't know, would I be the first 10-year-old to die of a cockroach-induced heart attack? Somehow, I survived. Back at school the following week, my teacher gave our class a writing assignment, My Spring Break. While kids from normal families wrote about the beach or mountains or grandma's house, I had to figure out how to write about naked people and cockroaches without ending up in foster care. Trust me, this epic adventure is going to be an epic disaster. And that's all for today. If you learned something new or you enjoyed today's reading, please leave a comment. I hope to see you again at the next episode. In the meantime, dream big and travel far.